You're watching Fox 10 Sports with Richard Sines.
You know, it's a scene football fans will never forget. Bills safety Damar Hamlin literally fighting for his life on Monday Night Football. This after he made a routine tackle. At first glance, it looked like nothing was wrong. Hamlin actually got up after the play was over, but then collapsed, and that's when things got scary. The game of football quickly became secondary as Hamlin was given CPR after suffering a cardiac arrest. This was obviously not normal. I caught up with someone that could relate to what happened, former Buffalo Bills player Lorenzo Alexander, who also played for the Arizona Cardinals. And I asked him what his initial reaction was when he saw what happened.
Scary, right? I can't tell you how many times I've been on the football field or one of my teammates and have been hit like that. And to see a young man, get up and then fall back like that, and then find out that he went into cardiac arrest. I mean, it's like a sobering reminder of how violent our game really is and what you're really putting at risk every time you step on the football field. You can see it on Josh Allen's face, Tre'Davious White, just emotional, right? Rightfully so. When you literally see somebody essentially dead on the football field, going into cardiac arrest, getting CPR. Your mind goes to the worst place, right? Am I going to lose a brother right here, right now, doing something that we love, doing and playing football? And I don't think anybody is ever conditioned to be able to handle that type of trauma happening in front of your face, right? We can do ankles and ACLs and, broken bones, but when we're talking about life or death scenarios, I don't think anybody's ever prepared to face that head on like that team did the other night, as well as the fans and the Bengals. All we can do right now is pray for his well-being and the doctors, and that they have wisdom and insight about how to make sure that Damar is with us tomorrow.
We've had plenty of scary moments on the field, like the Buda Baker incident in the playoffs against the Rams just last year for the Cardinals. The players were concerned when Buda went down and stayed down. And as you just saw, I talked to Lorenzo Alexander earlier today, but I also caught up with Larry Fitzgerald Sr., the father of Cardinals legend Larry Fitzgerald. And I asked both Lorenzo and Fitz Sr. if what happened last night reminded them of a similar issue they dealt with in the past.
I've seen some devastating things happen in baseball. I'll never forget the great late Kirby Puckett. And Kirby got hit by a 95-mile-an-hour fastball from a pitcher from Cleveland. The baseball landed on the ground like some dough from a pizza because his face had absorbed all the steam. That angered me because Kirby was my great friend. And it was just so devastating to see a guy hurt like that.
I've had teammates pass. I think about Sean Taylor. When I was in Washington and having to deal with his death or murder, a couple of days before playing the game, and we thought about not playing then. I've lost friends and family growing up, but I've never witnessed it, in person. And I think that brings another layer of trauma to the psyche in somebody's ability to kind of continue to focus and try to go back out there and play.
It's a big deal when a sports story turns into the news story all across the country. And that's what happened last night as Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin collapsed after making a routine tackle, then suffered a cardiac arrest. Thankfully, first responders were there to give him CPR right there on the field. And that's something we've never seen on a football field before. And that's why the players on the field were so distraught. Hamlin was rushed to a nearby hospital and is in still critical condition. I talked to former Bills player Lorenzo Alexander, who also played for the Cardinals, about the incident and how he's handling things as a former player, a parent, and a coach. We just got kind of your perspective as a player, because you've been on that field, you've been in those trenches. How about as a parent? Now, here you are coaching kids in football.
Right.
What's that mentality like?
It's a tough decision, right? I know what I sacrifice and what I sign up for, and that's something that I don't necessarily want for my kids. When we think about concussions, right, being one of the primary injuries, and obviously nothing that Damar had to experience last night, and that's why we do flag right now. I don't think you can, whatever your decision, I wanted to be intentional. I wanted to be well thought through, and for my kids right now, we're doing flag. Let them learn the game in a less intense way as far as the contact. And when we get to high school, we'll see what happens then. But it is a tough decision for every parent. I think you got to have those tough conversations with your kids.
Yeah, and as you can see when I talked to Alexander, who's actually coaching his flag football team, and yes, the team name is the Bills, and when you see what happened to Damar Hamlin, you can't help but think of these kids, right? These younger players. Photojournalist Brad Gass was with me at that practice, and he caught up with some of the parents at the practice to get their thoughts on how to handle this very sensitive issue with their own kids.
Definitely scary. We are the avid football fans at our house. Our son plays flag football. You'll see the kids playing back there. Certainly scary to think about that happening to our own child in the future, but at the same time, we have to continue encouraging them to follow their dreams.